AITA for exposing my girlfriend after she cheated with my stepdad? Okay, so this is a lot. I'm 29M, feeling all kinds of messed up right now, and I need to know if I've gone too far in this situation or if I'm justified. To give you the whole picture, I have to start at the beginning, so this might be a long post. Bear with me. I've been dating Anna, 27F, for about 4 years now. I thought we had a great relationship. Like, we've had the normal ups and downs, arguments about dumb stuff like whose turn it was to clean the kitchen or whose Netflix show we were going to watch next. But nothing ever felt like a red flag. Until recently, that is, Anna met my family pretty early on, about 6 months into our relationship. We were serious from the start, so it made sense. My family's pretty close-knit, though not without its own drama. My mom, Linda, 54F, has been married to my stepdad, Derek, 52M, for about 15 years. He's been a part of my life since I was a teenager. Honestly, Derek has always been kind of off to me. I've never gotten along super well with him. He's charming in this sleazy kind of way, if you know what I mean. Like the kind of guy who has that salesman persona turned up 24/7. My mom adores him, and he's always been nice enough to me, but I've always felt something wasn't quite right with him. But hey, whatever, that's just family dynamics sometimes. So, fast forward to this year. Anna had gotten really close with my family, especially my mom. I didn't think much of it. Anna's one of those people who gets along with everyone. But in hindsight, there were some weird things. Like, when we would visit my mom's place, Anna would often hang out more with my mom and stepdad than with me. At first, I thought she was just being friendly, and I actually appreciated it because it made family gatherings easier. My ex before Anna never got along with my mom, so it was nice to have someone who fit in so well. But I should have been paying more attention to the subtle shifts. A few months ago, things started feeling off between me and Anna. We were still living together, still doing couple things, but there was this emotional distance that started growing. She was less affectionate, more secretive with her phone, and suddenly had all these work commitments that kept her out late. I asked her about it, and she brushed it off as being stressed with work. Anna's in a demanding job, so I bought it, figuring it was just a rough patch. I mean, what couple doesn't go through rough patches, right? But then there was this one night, this was about 2 months ago, that changed everything. My mom was throwing this family barbecue, and of course, Anna and I were invited. I wasn't feeling great that day, I had some kind of stomach bug or something, so I told Anna I wasn't going to go. She was disappointed but said she'd still go without me. No big deal. It was just a family thing, right? Well, I was feeling worse than I thought and ended up calling off work for the next day. I spent the night in bed, but something wasn't sitting right with me. I know this sounds like one of those crazy gut-feeling moments that people talk about in cheesy movies, but that's what it was. I started overthinking things, and out of nowhere, I got this nagging suspicion. Something told me I needed to go to my mom's house, like right then. I wish I could explain why, but I can't. So, I pulled myself together, grabbed my keys, and drove over there. It was about 9 p.m. when I arrived, and the barbecue was long over. My mom's house was dark, except for a light in the living room. I assumed she'd gone to bed, and Derek too. I debated just turning around, but that gut feeling kept gnawing at me. I figured I'd check in on Anna, see if she was still hanging out there, or had left already. I mean, it wasn't unheard of for her to crash at my mom's place if she had too much to drink. I walked in, I have a key to my mom's house, and I wasn't prepared for what I saw. Anna was there, right? She was in the living room, on the couch with Derek. And not just sitting there either. They were making out, heavy like teenagers who just discovered kissing for the first time. I froze. I couldn't process what I was seeing. My girlfriend, the woman I loved and had planned to propose to later this year, was all over my stepdad. I don't know how long I stood there, but eventually they noticed me. Anna leapt off the couch, and Derek just kind of sat there with this smug, lazy smile on his face. Like he wasn't even ashamed or shocked. Anna started crying, trying to explain, but honestly, all I heard was ringing in my ears. I remember her saying something like, "It's not what it looks like," which is laughable because it was exactly what it looked like. I left without saying a word. I drove around for hours, not knowing what to do, where to go. I didn't even go home that night. I stayed at a friend's house and ignored all the calls and texts from both Anna and my mom. Derek never even bothered to reach out, which didn't surprise me at all. The next day, I finally answered one of Anna's calls, and we met up. She was in full panic mode, crying, apologizing, saying it was a mistake. She told me it had only happened a couple of times, and that it was mostly Derek's fault, that he'd been making advances on her for months. She admitted that she'd been tempted, especially because things between us had been distant lately, but she insisted that she still loved me and wanted to make it work. I was numb. I couldn't even begin to wrap my head around what she was saying. How could she possibly expect me to be okay with this? She cheated on me with my stepdad, in my family's home, while my mom, who adores her, was in the next room. The betrayal was so complete that I didn't even know where to start unpacking it. That night, I went to my mom's house. I needed to confront her about Derek. I thought maybe she knew something, maybe she'd seen some signs that I had missed. But what I wasn't prepared for was her reaction. I told her what I had seen, and she just broke down. She had no idea. She was devastated, and honestly, I think part of her still doesn't want to believe it. She kept asking me if I was sure, like maybe I had misunderstood what I saw. But I had seen everything, clear as day. In the following days, things spiraled. Anna kept trying to get me to talk, to forgive her, but I couldn't even look at her without feeling sick. My mom confronted Derek, and of course, he denied everything, said I must have been mistaken. But when my mom pushed harder, he eventually admitted it. He tried to justify it by saying he and Anna had a connection and that it just happened. The audacity of it all was mind-blowing. Eventually, I ended things with Anna. I told her I could never trust her again, and she needed to get out of my life. She cried, begged me to reconsider, but I was done. I haven't spoken to her since. Here's where things get even messier. My mom is now considering divorcing Derek, but she's torn. He's been her partner for 15 years, and despite this betrayal, she's struggling with the idea of losing everything they've built. I can't blame her for that. But it's also hard for me to watch her waffle, knowing what he's done, not just to her, but to me. A week ago, I told my best friend about everything that had happened. He was shocked, obviously, but he also said something that's been eating at me. He said that by telling my mom what happened, I've basically blown up her life, too. That I've made it impossible for her to have a normal marriage or to move on without this cloud hanging over her. He didn't mean it in a bad way, but it made me wonder if I was selfish for bringing this all to light. Should I have just broken up with Anna quietly and left my mom out of it? Was I wrong for blowing up the whole situation? My family is fractured, and I don't know if it'll ever heal. So, AITA for exposing everything, for confronting my mom and telling her what happened, even though it's wrecked her marriage and our family?